Hello, everybody logging on. Just remember, if you're not at work and you want to get credit for today's meeting, have your camera on and I need to see you on the camera. Hi, Grant. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, guys, welcome everyone to our May staff meeting. We have a few presenters on board today. We're going to get started. First up with our care commitment. Kayla, are you on? I know she's a little busy doing some discharges. If not, I'll take hers in her place. So we had last week, we celebrated Hospital Week slash Nurses Week, and the UBC and other people on the staff did a really great job on the celebration of colors. If you don't know what that means, every single year for Hospital Week, every unit picks something that they want to. Let me go back. Every year is a theme for celebration for Hospital Week. And so this year the theme was colors. So every unit selected a color and then they ran with it. So the color that A5 chose was khaki. And they won best overall for 2024, 2025, and 2026 this year. So thank you everyone for helping out, for donating, for being here on your day off to make sure that it was a success. It was a great turnout. The staff did an amazing job. There were waffles, coffee, you name it out there. Okay. So great job to everyone out there and doing that. And also have a little something here for you guys. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know why it's doing this. Hold on. No, I'll come back to it. I'll see if I can play it for you guys. So we have kudos. Why am I getting all this stuff here? Sorry, we have all this kudos for you guys. Like always, it's really great seeing the things that all you guys do. And so it's great hearing what the patients have to say about you guys also. Hold on, I do not know why that is happening. Like people are like
You're tearing up the screen.
writing, they are writing on my thing here. I don't know what's happening here. They're writing on that. I'll see if I can get it fixed, but we'll continue with everything. With Maria Robinson, for example, one of the patients said that they're not good at putting feelings down on paper. And at around 2, 3 in the morning, Maria came in and helped the patient when she couldn't sleep. She gave her a sponge bath, cleaned the room, uh, and changed her, and she made her feel like a princess. And thank you, Maria, for being her angel. Fayez, one of our new residents, took the time and was patient to answer all the questions to the patient's father who was hospitalized. They said, although he's new to the field, his compassion and professionalism were evident. He made sure that they felt informed and supported and never rushed and made them feel very stressed out during this emotional time. So thanks, Fayez, for doing that. And then we also have Rhodius. Patient said on her last shift, she couldn't get any answers on a schedule of things. And so Rhodius made sure that she kept them up to date on the status of the ultrasound scheduled and that was completed. She was very proactive in helping her and seemed to care a lot about her health status. Yasmin, being an angel to her patient. Rania, always being awesome, being an asset to the team, resolving all the problems for the patient while keeping a smile on her face. Jackie, same thing, brought a genuine smile to my dad's face every time she interacted with him. As she struggled with his losing memory and not understanding why he was in the hospital, she showed respect, patience, and compassion. So thank you, Jackie, for doing that. Great job. Hold on, this is getting a little annoying. 1 second, guys. I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm gonna see if I can fix this real quick. All right, thank you. So, okay, we're back. Birthdays. So happy birthday to all of our May babies. So Kaylee, Tommy, Ashley Hong, Kobe, Danica, Rachel, Shauna, Jalen. And I didn't get Grant's name, but Grant also recently. Anniversary celebrating 1 year is Jackie Porcayo, 4 years, Uju, Curtis, and Nadia. 6 years, Lily, and 10 years, Patrice. And Patrice just received her silver badge the other day. Congrats, Patrice. Next up, I want to present Veronica Williams. She is our wellness coach and program coordinator for Mansfield Methodist, and she'll give you a lot of great information.
Hello, everyone. Thank y'all so much for allowing me to join your staff meeting today. Like Saul said, my name is Veronica Williams, and I am the wellness coach and program coordinator here at Methodist Mansfield. Today, I just want to spend a little time reviewing just some of the employee wellness resources, benefits, support programs that's available to you. So, some of the things that I want to focus on, and when I mean by available, it's because a lot of employees don't always realize how many resources that are available or that's already in place for you guys. Just the overall support, and whether that's the annual wellness plan questions, whether it's stress management, counseling resources, wellness coaching, have access to Calm app access, physical wellness resources, and just help, just with finding help, overall help with navigating the healthcare system. Um, so one of my goals that I want to focus on is just not to overwhelm you with like a lot of information. My goal is to make these resources like easier to understand, easier to remember, and just easier overall just to use them. And so I'll walk you through the annual wellness plan today, as well as wellness coaching, mental and emotional wellness resources, the MAP 2 resource that we have available, fitness and movement resources as well. And then I'm going to walk you through just simple habits that can help support, your overall energy, recovery, and resilience during a busy shift. And please feel free to ask questions at the end. If I don't know the answer right away, I'll make sure to find it and follow back up with you. So next slide. Awesome. Okay, so why wellness matters. Before we jump into specific wellness resources and benefits, I want to first acknowledge something that everyone in healthcare already understands very well, and that is that this work is incredibly demanding. Healthcare workers operate in high stress environments every single day, and many employees are balancing like long shifts, emotional stress, physical exhaustion, mental overload, and just constant multitasking. And honestly, a lot of healthcare professionals become very good at like functioning while stressed and exhausted. And that's one of the reasons why employee wellness matters so much. And not because, the thing is, it's not because everyone expects perfection. It's because small daily habits and small moments of support can genuinely improve energy, stress management, recovery, mental well-being, and just overall quality of life. And sometimes wellness looks like maybe drinking water before your third cup of coffee, are taking 60 seconds to breathe, stretching your shoulders while you're charting, asking for support early, or just even scheduling your preventative care visits. So like I mentioned, small things matter for sure. Um, And the resources we're reviewing today are really designed to help support employees in like realistic ways. Now, one of the biggest wellness related topics employees ask questions about is the annual wellness plan. So I want to spend just a few minutes reviewing some like important reminders and clarifications there. So next slide, please. Okay. Now, I want to spend a few minutes talking about the annual wellness plan because this is probably one of the biggest areas of confusion and one of the most common types of questions we receive from employees. The annual wellness plan is designed to encourage preventative care while also helping employees avoid the wellness surcharge. Successfully completing the requirements can save employees approximately $1,000 annually. So this is definitely something we encourage employees to stay on top of early. Now, one of the most important things I want everyone to understand is that wellness credits are not immediate. Even when an employee completes everything correctly, claims can still take approximately 45 to 60 days to process through insurance and report back to Workday. And in some situations, it can take even longer depending on when the provider actually files the claim. So, say for instance, if someone says, I already completed my appointment, why I'm not seeing my credit yet? Often, the answer is just simply the claim is still processing. That's why we strongly encourage employees to complete requirements early whenever possible and not wait until the last minute. Another important date this year is that the deadline is September 30th now, which aligns directly with the fiscal year and transitions into open enrollment. Because of that timeline, there is a less flexibility for delayed processing this year. Another thing employees may notice during the open enrollment session is a temporary pending surcharge showing in Workday. Now, that can happen because the claimant processing delay, but it in many situations when it comes to the surcharge it reverses automatically once the claim finished processing and the system updates. And I'm sorry. Oh, okay. And most importantly, employees usually do not need to send documentation unless wellness specifically asks for it. Another important annual wellness success, that would help with annual success is understanding preventative care and how visits are actually billed and tracked, because that can affect whether employees receive wellness credit correctly. So let's go to the next slide. And we'll go into a little bit more of the preventative care and choosing a PCP. All right. And one thing we really encourage employees to do is establish a relationship with their primary care provider before they actually need one. A lot of people wait until they're already sick or overwhelmed to try to find a provider, and by then the appointments are harder to get. Having an established PCP usually makes scheduling easier, preventative care easier, follow-up care easier, and overall healthcare just easier and smoother to navigate. Another important thing employees may not realize is that the wellness system tracks specific billing codes. And what I mean by that, so even if, say, for instance, even if someone went to a doctor, if the visit was billed as a sick visit instead of an annual preventative visit, it may not automatically trigger the wellness credit. That's one of the reasons preventative visits are so important. We also have a few specialty exceptions employees commonly ask about. And for example, as you can see here, the OBGYN. So OBGYN visits, you can receive credit for your pre and postnatal visits with your OBGYN instead of an annual physical if advised by your physician, but in some cases, employees may need to provide an after visit summary or AVS for manual documentation. And same thing with dermatology. As you can see here, visits may count toward cancer screenings, but those typically don't automatically flow through claims and may require a manual submission for credit. And honestly, this is why we always encourage employees to reach out early if they're unsure about anything. It's much easier to troubleshoot things early than to try fixing them like close to the deadline. So now, beyond preventative care and annual wellness requirements, another major area we support employees with is with wellness coaching and building realistic habits that actually fit healthcare lifestyles. So next slide, please. Okay, one resource I really enjoy talking about is the wellness coaching, and that's not just because I'm a wellness coach, but it's also a lot of employees don't realize how broad wellness coaching actually is. Many people immediately assume wellness coaching only means like weight loss or fitness, but it's much more than that. We support employees in areas like stress management, hydration, nutrition, sleep, movement, energy management, accountability, because we all need a little accountability as well, and just building realistic habits that fit, a healthy life, a healthcare lifestyle. And honestly, healthcare schedules can be challenging, and because a lot of employees are juggling long shifts, like I mentioned before, inconsistent meals, stress, emotional exhaustion, family responsibilities, and just honestly, just very little downtime. So our approach is not perfection. It's about helping, let's see, it's about just making sure you guys are stable and you can navigate through whatever that you're going through. Sometimes coaching looks like helping someone maybe improve hydration, if that's something that you want to talk about, or creating realistic meal routines. That's always popular, and improving sleep habits, increasing movement, managing stress during shifts, or just simply helping someone feel like less overwhelmed. I wanted to point out, we also offer in-body assessments. If you guys have heard of that or not, it's basically we help employees better understand their body composition. So I have a scale in my office here where you would step on the scale. It touches your body fat, your muscle mass, your water, your overall water, body fat percentage. And so it's just basically a resource for tracking your overall wellness progress or any goals that you may have. And all of these sources are available to you guys at no cost. Another wellness resource that pairs really well with stress management and busy healthcare schedules is the Calm app. Next slide. And we're going to talk briefly about that.
Quick question, the scale, is that on every location, or do we have to go to you all? Are you at Dallas or?
We have a variety of different scales at different locations. Most locations have the InBody scale. So yes. Mhm. All right. So this is the Calm. We're going to briefly talk about the Calm app. One wellness resource that I really like. This is one of the wellness resources that I really like highlighting because honestly, it's much more practical than a lot of people initially think. A lot of employees hear the word meditation and immediately think like, that's not for me type of thing. But Calm app actually includes breathing exercises, sleep support, stress management tools, relaxation music, mindfulness programs, all these things, and even short movement and stretching videos. And just a quick note that it even have a Calm Kids section. And so if you have children, they can utilize this app as well. So great for that. One thing I especially encourage healthcare workers to focus on is the nervous system recovery because many employees spend the entire shift in constant stimulation and constant multitasking, emotional stress, and always high alert. And even a few intentional minutes of breathing or just decompression can help improve recovery and lower your overall stress levels. Let's see. So the app is also great for employees who like struggle with falling asleep after shifts. So I've spoken with quite a few people that helps with that, along with turning the brain off after work, carrying stress home, or just needing a quick mental reset during the day. And another thing I like about the app is that it is flexible. So you don't need an hour, you don't need perfect silence, you don't need a yoga mat. Honestly, it's just even 60 seconds of attentional breathing can kind of help you bring that stress level down. And it only takes 60 seconds. So that's what I love about it. And you have access to it right on your phone. And speaking of stress and emotional well-being, I also want to make sure you all know about some additional emotional and mental wellness resources available through Methodist. So, next slide. Okay. So one thing I always want employees to remember is that mental and emotional wellness are just as important as physical wellness. Um, Healthcare workers carry a lot emotionally, and many employees become very skilled at functioning while stressed, overwhelmed, emotionally exhausted, or mentally overloaded. But functioning and feeling okay are not always the same thing, you guys. Methodist offers several emotional wellness resources designed to support employees through both everyday stress and even more difficult situations. And one of these resources is Emotional Wellbeing Solutions, or EWS. EWS provides support for mental health counseling, stress management, financial guidance, as well as legal resources. And one thing many employees don't realize is that the 6 counseling sessions are free per topic per year. So if you're working through one challenge and say like 2 or 3 months later, you need support through another challenge, you can receive 6 more free counseling sessions. Also, this is completely confidential. We don't know who signs up. We don't receive any of your information. So I want to point that out as well. And this is also available throughout your whole household. So if you have a teenager or a spouse going through a difficult time, they can utilize this resource as well. We also have additional support resources available, including MHS Cares, Critical Incident Stress Management, or CISM, which is a peer support group that supports you through difficult times at work. So if you ever find, you guys, if you ever find yourself in a difficult situation, and I highly, highly recommend, please use your voice. Reach out to Saul, your manager, your HR, whoever it may be, but use your voice. It's the most important thing that you guys have. And so if we don't know what's going on, we can't help you. Okay. We also have chaplain and pastoral support and the Hope Group. And the Hope Group is a free, confidential virtual support group available for employees or family members affected by addiction, and it meets Thursdays at 6:30 a.m. And honestly, one of the biggest messages I try to reinforce is that it's okay to ask for support. You don't have to carry things alone. Okay. You do not have to wait until just like you're completely overwhelmed. You don't want to wait to that point to ask for wellness or emotional support resources. Another resource that I really want employees to know about, because it can help make navigating healthcare much easier. It's MAP2. And so let's go to the next slide. Thank you. Now, this resource is especially, this resource I want to especially focus on for employees to know. It's because it's one of the ones that it's most underutilized that we have here at Methodist. And so MAP2 helps employees navigate the health system and connect with resources much more effectively. They can help employees find in-network primary care providers, locate specialists, connect with counseling resources, access community resources, and even discuss medication cost concerns with pharmacists. This can be extremely helpful for employees who recently changed their insurance plans, don't currently have a primary care provider, or unsure where to start, or just simply feel like overwhelmed trying to navigate the health system on their own. And honestly, healthcare navigation can feel confusing. And so that's even for people in healthcare as well. And so one of the things that I strongly want to encourage employees to do is establish a relationship with the PCP before they actually need one. It's much easier to schedule appointments, manage preventative care, and get support when you already have an established provider relationship. And MAP2 can help employees through this process. Now, in addition to emotional wellness and healthcare support resources, we also have several physical wellness and movement resources available to employees. So we'll talk about that next. Next slide, please. Perfect. Now, in addition to emotional wellness resources, we also have several physical wellness and movement resources available to employees. One of those is OnePass Select, which is a discounted fitness access. So basically, you choose a membership tier that fits your lifestyle, and it gives you an option for gyms and digital workouts. And what I mean by gyms is just gym memberships overall, and digital workouts. Say, for instance, if you have iFit or Daily Burn, you get all this comes into access with OnePass Select. So if fitness is on your goal list for this year, OnePass Select is definitely, I highly recommend that you explore this resource. And this is actually one of the benefits that I immediately signed up for. So right now, so say for instance, you guys, I have about 5 gym memberships. I have LA Fitness, Crunch Fitness, EOS, Fitness Connection, so on, and I only pay $36 a month. This is on the first of every month. Aside from all gym memberships, you get, when you sign up, you get a free Shipt account and a free Walmart Plus account. And when you up for Walmart Plus, you also get a free Paramount Plus account as well. So I get multiple gym memberships, 2 grocery delivery services memberships, as well as a streaming service for $36 a month. I mean, that's not bad, right? The most important thing to know is that Methodist does not directly pay for the gym memberships. Employees pay OnePass Select directly through the membership tier they choose, and there's no enrollment fees or annual fees or anything like that. So we also offer wellness programming, including stretch break sessions, mobility and posture support, educational wellness events, wellness tables, and like I mentioned previously, in-body appointments. And honestly, healthcare work is physically demanding, and a lot of employees normalize like back pain, shoulder tension, neck stiffness, sore feet like plantar fasciitis, and just general physical discomfort because they're constantly moving, lifting. You guys are constantly standing and charting throughout shifts for hours. So, with that said, a Rosti is another available resource that can help support you guys dealing with musculoskeletal pain, mobility concerns, or just overall injury related issues. So instead of quoting exact dollar amounts, I do want to mention that one thing is when it comes to coverage and copays, they can vary depending on the employee's specific insurance plan when it comes to a Rosti. And so just want you guys, if you are interested in signing up, just verify the details with your insurance, okay? And overall, one of the biggest things I try to enforce is that small, consistent movement habits really do matter. And we're going to talk about that next on my next slide. Okay, perfect. Okay, so small habits matter. One of the biggest things I try to remind healthcare workers is that wellness does not have to be extreme to make a difference. A lot of people think wellness means like a perfect meal prep or hour-long workouts or waking up at 4 in the morning, drinking gallons of water and things like that, and just suddenly becoming completely different person overnight. So the thing is, the goal is not, again, the goal is not perfection. The goal is building small habits that support your energy, your stress levels, recovery, and then just your overall well-being in realistic ways. Sometimes wellness looks like drinking water before caffeine, keeping protein snacks nearby, stretching your shoulders during charting, taking short mental resets, or just simply not waiting 10 hours to eat during the shift. Small habits may not feel dramatic in the moment, but over time they do absolutely add up. Let's see, and then honestly, just consistency matters, and much more than perfection. So we're going to go to the next slide, please. And finally, I always want employees to know that wellness is here as a support resource. If you have any questions, concerns, or just simply don't know where to start, please, please, please reach out. We can help employees with annual wellness questions, workday support, support, wellness coaching, Calm app enrollment, InBody appointments, wellness events, and just general wellness education and resources. And one thing I never want employees to feel is that they have to navigate all of these things along. We have so many different resources and so many different, so much information out there. So please reach out if you guys need help. Next slide. And so if any questions come up later, feel free to email me directly. And with that, I'm just going to thank everyone for having me today, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you guys may have it.
Veronica,
Yes.
I
Hello.
remember you talking about the gym memberships and stuff, and you said you had 5 of them and you only paid $36 a month.
Yes, absolutely. So when you on OnePass Select, there's different tiers that you can choose from. I am currently on the classic tier. The classic tier is $36 a month. Now you have different ranges where if you want more boutique studio fitness memberships, those are going to be on a higher tier. So that'll be like, your bar classes and things of that nature. So that would be a little higher in cost. And then they also have a lower one when if you want to sign up just for digital workouts, that's like $10 a month. So there's a lot of different ones that you can choose from. And the one that I am currently on has majority of the gym memberships. And yes, that is $36 a month.
That is insanely crazy.
Isn't
That's a
it? I love it.
really good deal.
Yes, absolutely. And don't forget the grocery delivery services and the streaming services as well. Mhm.
All right. Thank
Any
you,
other
Veronica.
questions?
Appreciate you talking.
Yes, thank you guys again for having me today. And then if you guys need any help with anything, if you need any breathing, stretching, resets in the middle of the day, it just takes 10 minutes. I am more than happy to assist with that.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have Sonia. She's one of our RT team leads.
Hi, I'm Sonia. I just wanted to let you guys know that we have this new little green laminated paper that we want to keep at bedside for any trach patient that you have on the floor. When we know there's a trach patient, the RTs will be responsible to put that in the room. We just want you to know what is in our little gray basin of supplies for the trach patient. And we want you to help with making sure that they're set up in the room for suction and BVM at bedside. It's always important for a trach patient. And just a quick little, it's just kind of shows you what we have in there. What we do during day shift is we change out the inner cannula, the dressing, and the trach ties, and clean around the stoma at least once a day, but if it's dirtier, then we do it more. And the night shift consists of changing out the corrugated tubing, the water trap, the trach ties, and dressing. They don't do the inner cannula change unless it's dirty, but we would have extras in the bin. And then when the patient goes home, I have talked to EVS about not throwing these signs away, just to kind of wipe them or keep them outside the room or just give them to respiratory or a nurse. And then you guys can always just let us know when you have them free out there if we don't pick it up. Just to kind of keep track of like hey, this is a trach airway, we should be cautious, or just kind of pay a little more attention to things if the patient's not doing well or if there are certain things not in the room. On the units, we have a yellow sign, but that's mainly for if to let us know when we have to take out their sutures. So you guys will always just see a green sign, because if you have a sutured trach on the floor that's within 5 to 7 days, then I'm trying not to let that happen. I'm hoping it stays on the unit before the sutures come out, because it's just a lot more for safety reasons for the patient. And so you'll see those on the floor. Our next slide is something that we're working on, that's supposed to be in effect June 1st, but that's still to be determined. Dr. Sixta with neurotrauma wanted me to come up with a pre-procedure checklist that happens in the unit in a controlled intubation, but it's kind of the flip side of this for the intubation plans is kind of a good guide if we are intubating on the floor, and if the providers having trouble, it has good information on who we need to be calling and what steps need to take place next. We will have one of these on our GlideScope, and RT will be in charge of looking at it or saying or calling or who we need to call. It's not going to be on the crash carts yet, I was told. I guess that's a process. So for now, we'll be keeping them on our GlideScopes and then trying to get that out once it's final. We're still working on phone numbers. The most important thing I think for this is on the pre-procedure checklist. If we know that a patient has a difficult airway, it's down here in red. It says if difficult airway is flagged on the storyboard, we'll immediately jump to plan B and call for help. So the ICU doctors, the NPs, and the nurses will flag a difficult airway if a patient has had multiple intubations or we've had trouble, a limited range of motion, like for trauma or surgery, swelling in the airway, and then of course our Mallampelli score, which we will be noticing, but on the storyboard, which it's normally under the full or the code status, it'll say difficult airway. And if there's a lot of RTs in the room, one of us will always kind of step out, have the patient chart open and see. So we'll be looking at that as well. But if anybody has the chart open and you see that, it's good to kind of call out and say, this is flagged as a difficult airway, then we need to automatically start getting extra hands on deck to make sure that the patient's safety is first. And we kind of, the ICU doctor and the trauma docs have all collaborated and put all of this together. So obviously, in our little, on the intubation plans for our help numbers, if trauma is there and they can't get it intubated, then we would call ICU and vice versa. The anesthesia part is mainly like a 24-hour call. We always have a CRNA in NICU that can help intubate, mainly because our ED is not fully staffed with physicians at night. So it's, if I ask them to come intubate on a difficult airway that the NPs can't get, then we're taken away from ER, so they don't want us to do that. So we always have that number there for anesthesia. And at the, more so for day shift, but at any point on our intubation guidelines, the Plan C, the contact OR number in red, that's the charge nurse for the OR. She'll be able to call out to an available anesthesia if we need a backup from our ICU doc or from our trauma doc. We're hoping it won't ever get to that far, but we will be responsible to get all of the equipment needed if so, but they would be there just as a backup. So hopefully these will come out to y'all's floors initially, just so you can get a little more familiar with them, because I know some of the things on the intubation pre-check or the checklist, some of the things that come up on here have happened to where we are waiting to intubate because the pulse ox isn't working, or we don't have the Dr. Smith has gone to intubate and the GlideScope is dead. And so there's just lots of little things that are kind of just for all of us to call out and check. So if you happen to see one of these or look at it and you notice something, please call it out. We are definitely a team and want to have the best patient outcome. So if you ever want to, or if you have questions, have any concerns, or feel like there is something that maybe you see that we missed, please call it out or let me know. This is still a work in progress, but it is hopefully going to be effective next month. Any questions?
All right. Thank you, Sonia, for coming and
Okay.
presenting.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Sarah with her education news.
All right. So starting June 1st, there has been some microbiology order optimization. So one of them is going to be the C. diff result format change. So whenever you open up your labs and you see the results, if you hover over the active on the C. diff, you'll get that little pop-up window. But if you click on active just one time, it'll open up what your C. diff PCR, and more detailed. Next slide. And then our respiratory pathogen panel that has changed as well. It's just going to optimize the 13 respiratory pathogen panel, focusing on the pathogens that aren't covered in the 4-plex panel. So that way there's not duplications or anything. So what has been removed from the respiratory pathogen panel is the influenza A, B, RSV, and COVID-19. Because those are all on the 4-plex panel. Next slide. And then, there's an order where you can order culture and it says any other source. Well, that name has been changed now as aerobic culture without gram stain. And all this will go live June 1st. Next slide. And then this just came out this week, our MHS Ebola OPA alert. So whenever you admit a patient, you go through their travel history, and if they meet one or more reported symptoms, then this BPA will pop up with, we got to notify our infectious disease, strict isolation, and whatnot. Next slide. Our new Dynamaps, they were supposed to come out this week, but there has been some delays due to them needing to upgrade and make some changes at Dallas. So Dallas went live this week. We'll get our new vital sign machines now on June 2nd. So this is what the Portrait VSM will look like. Next slide. And some units already have this one if they ordered new Dynamaps. So you might have seen ones like these. These are the VS150s. These VS150s will not go away. We will still have these. They'll just be upgraded, meaning that they'll get a barcode scanner attached to it and it'll have the Epic interface. So those will be the two types of vital signs that we'll have starting January 2nd throughout the hospital. Next slide. And thank y'all all for signing up for PCT Skills Day. A5 is at 100%. Thank y'all. And just remember that whenever y'all signed up, you did get an email to your email that you put on there with your date and time. Next slide. Trauma hours. So our next trauma hour that we have is thoracic trauma. That's on May 27th. And then we have another one in June. Both of these can be live or you can do the Zoom option. You just have to go into Methodist University and sign up for these so you can get your CE. And this counts towards your 4 hours of trauma hours that is needed by September 30th. Next slide. And then here's our May health.edu premieres with education that's available that's new this month. Next slide. And then Life Gift is giving us free CEs as well as the Power of Partners. So the deadline for that is going to be June 2nd, but it's going to be June 4th. Next slide. And again, please check out our website. If you go under new products, you can watch a video of our new Vital Sign machine that's on YouTube. And that's it.
All right. Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome.
Next up, our May Rice Skill of the Month, Crystal.
Yes, so May Rise Universal Skill of the Month is that three-way repeat back. So the sender initiates communication, the receiver acknowledges that by repeating back what was said to them, and then the sender acknowledges that accuracy. So nurses, whenever you guys are accepting those critical lab results, it's okay. So what I'm hearing is they have a potassium of 5, or whatever. And then they'll say, yes, they do. Please don't rely on memory. Write it down if you need to. Always record the information whenever you've received it. Repeat back the order, request, or any information every single time, especially from those physicians. Sometimes that, we don't understand sometimes what they're saying maybe. You're seeking clarification in that moment. And then just be clear, concise when providing that information.
Nice. Thank you, Crystal. Next up, we have a few presentations. First up will be Gigi.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. All right. So we had a fall some weeks back. A patient came in with pseudo seizures. When our alarm rang in her room, we rushed there, found her in a sitting position in the bathroom. She had a socks on, gown on. Asked her what happened. She said she lost her balance on her way to the bathroom and hit her side of the face on the toilet. We called staff assist, everybody came. Doctor was notified, vitals were taken. They were stable. He ordered CT stat. CT was done, results came back, no injuries, no fracture. Patient was educated to call all time and wait for help. Bed alarm was on, call light was within reach, and her bed was in lowest position, and that was it.
Gotcha. Now you said whenever she walked to the
Yes.
restroom, the bed alarm was on. Did y'all get to her a little late?
Yes, I believe we got to her late. She
Mhm.
couldn't wait. She became impatient and she took herself to the bathroom.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, it seems like you had a lot
Yes.
of interventions in place. It looks like some feedback on that is, just everyone making sure if we hear a bed alarm, go into it right away so that something like this, we can try to prevent. Okay.
Yes, for sure.
All
Yes.
right. Thank you, Gigi.
Thank you.
And then next up, we have Helen.
Hello, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, patient came in, he had laminectomy in the past and started having, he was discharged home, came back after like a week, complained of tingling and numbness to his left hand, I believe. So came back and they did a repair. He had neck collar as well. There was an order to put in neck collar in bed or out of bed. So the night before, patient was standby assist. He will always call to assist him to the bathroom. So when I came back the following day, I think PT and OT already saw him and they cleared him, So he was to go home that evening. For some reason, I think the wife said he wasn't ready. He has to get some things in place. So I did his wound care that night at about maybe between 11, 12. And I called Tana to check because we were looking for the best wound dressing to use. So I had to go to before to go get, it wasn't the one that was on it before, but we got something similar, which was a macro antimicrobial. So when I did the dressing, I asked Tanya to come take a look, and which, everything was good. And when Tanya came out from the room, he told me, Helen, I put in the bed alarm. So at about 3 in the morning, I was in there. He called to go to the bathroom. He did use his call light. So we took him to the bathroom, came back, and he said we should turn off the bed alarm, that he was going to sleep, and whenever he moved around, the bed alarm keep beeping. Anyway, so that's what happened. I think we turned off the bed alarm, and unfortunately, when he was going to go to bathroom that morning around 6 a.m., he didn't call. He took himself to bathroom, and according to him, he had used the bathroom and he felt like he wants to take a shower. So he sat on the shower chair, and that was when he started feeling like his hands was getting numbed again. So on him reaching out to the emergency call button on the bathroom, then he fell over. So
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah. They did the CT scan and everything was okay, and he was still discharged that evening to go home. Thank God nothing was happening.
Okay. Was he pretty independent, going to the restroom and showering himself?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. This is one of those things, we just educate patients to call and, using our best judgment in that situation. Okay. All right. Thank you, Helen. Next up, we have Megan.
Hi, friends. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I had an unfortunate, oh, Jackson said hi as well. I had an unfortunate fall on, it was Monday, I believe. Yes, Monday or Tuesday, Monday. A patient that we had came in for a syncopal episode at work. All of her scans were negative, but she was like kind of flopping around a lot, almost like an infant that could not hold her head up. It was very strange. Her bed alarm was on. It went off multiple times. And so every time it went off, we'd run in there. And she was like flopped over on her table or just onto the side rail. It was just very strange behavior. And she called us every time she needed to urinate. We put the bedpan underneath of her and she would just go into the bed. But she called frequently. The bed alarm was on, bed in the lowest position, call light. She held it in her hand, didn't let go of it. Bed alarm went off again. When I was going back in there, Shauna and Savannah were already in there. Patient was already on the floor. It was an unwitnessed fall. She said she was trying to reach the bedpan, and said that she hit her head. So we did obviously a stat CT scan. Everything came back negative. So it's just unfortunate because towards the end of the evening, her husband came to visit. They called me to the room. I walk in and she's standing up, putting on her clothes like nothing happened, completely normal, like all of us can stand up. So it's just, we think she was faking, but it was just still frustrating because it ultimately turned into a fall.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks for presenting. I know with this one, sometimes, we get these patients, we can do our best to educate, implement all these interventions also. We're even doing our hourly rounding to make sure that we do the 5 Ps. And then whenever we review these, they always go to risk management and then they review them. If there are a couple that we help assist the patient or something looks a little bit off, we can try to fight our case so that it doesn't count against us. All right. Thank you, Megan. All right. Next up, we have Crystal with our NCC updates.
Yes. So real quickly, I just want to talk about whenever our patients pass, nurses, we do have to document like the postmortem and all that kind of things. And there are specific information that we need to be paying attention to. So part of that would be the medical examiner assessment part. So depending on how your patient died, sometimes our patients are transferred from neurotrauma ICU or wherever they are coming from, the ED, wherever that might be. And there's specific criteria to those patients since maybe it was a trauma or whatnot. Recently, we had a patient pass away, and the medical examiner was not called, and this patient had fallen and hit their head, which caused to their demise. So please just pay attention to the list on the assessment form and make sure that your patient meets, or doesn't meet the criteria before we do not call them, because they were a little upset. So any questions on that, you guys can hit me back after. Next slide, please. Any other updates? I just want to talk and just reiterate clinical access nursing. Please make sure that about every 4 hours we're checking your clinical access for those patients that are on telemetry. PCTs and RNs on admission, we should be messaging telemetry in the chat. Goal is less than 20 minutes. Reality should be in 5 minutes of arrival that we're placing those patients on telemetry, and we are sending those chats to telemetry. So PCTs, if this is you and maybe the nurse isn't in the room with you whenever a patient arrives and you're putting them on telemetry, if you would just add that nurse into the chat with you in the group chat and message them, let them know that they're on and what box number it is and so on and so forth. Okay. PCTs. So here recently we are still continuing to do the bath logs, and I double check that you guys are documenting baths whenever you are signing off on the log. Right now, bath logs are day shift. You guys are completing about 61% of baths, and night shift, you guys are completing 39%. I do want to say though that these logs, I have had a couple of them come up missing. And a lot of them it's for night shift. So please make sure that we're not taking them away from that charge area, because the charge is who gives it to me in my box whenever your shift is done. Don't take this away, just leave it there, sign in that general area. And then, but I also want to mention again, there are some PCTs who are not signing this. I'm asking you to sign this. Please sign this, just so I can validate and verify that your baths are getting done and whenever you're charting them too. Okay. Because you're not getting credit for it. And so it's just going to result in me having conversations with you now, because it's gone on 2 months and there's consistent people not filling out the log. And to get credit for your bath for PCTs, it's a bath, soap and water, and a linen change. Okay. I do want to mention too that, on those incomplete days, I do give you a 0 if you're not filling it out. So I'll send one at the end of this week for your updated on who's doing what. So you guys will see that. And your percentage just might not be very high, even though maybe you are doing baths, but I can't tell if it's not on this. Okay. Hourly rounding, I will beat this till I'm blue in the face, beat y'all with it. But we do have heavy patients, and whenever we have heavy patients, I'm telling y'all, hourly rounding is it's a success story if you do it, and if you do it right with your PCTs. Okay. And so that's every other hour you guys are rounding and asking those 5 Ps. And your days, yes, it is, some days are hell on wheels out there. I totally understand it. And sometimes hourly rounding is just not practical, and you guys are just like chasing, the calls. But if you do hourly rounding appropriate from the beginning, and you are educating your patient on hourly rounding and saying the words, you're going to receive less calls, and your patient's just going to trust and know that you're going to be in that room, or somebody is going to be in that room within that hour. So, our scores will go up, all of that, so please just try your best to do hourly rounding and having that communication with PCT and RN together at the beginning of shift on how you guys are going to do it, what hours you're going to do it at, and just make sure that we're getting it done. But asking those 5 Ps is the most important thing. It's not just go in the room. Do you need anything? No, it's, hey, I have the time now. Do you need to get up and go to the restroom? Let me check if you're dry. All the things. Do you need water? Do you need pain? Like all those things. We have to address it and then move on to the next room. Okay.
I have a
The only other
question.
thing I want to talk about, Funke, did you have something to say?
Yes, please. Yeah, for those that are oriented at night and they are already asleep, I don't know, do we need to just wake them and say, hey, I do go into the room, but I don't wake them. I just make sure, hey, they stay on the bed. But do we need to wake them and be asking them, do you need to go to the bathroom and all that? I think we just,
That's a great question. You can have this conversation with them before they fall asleep. Is this something that, I'm going to be coming in here, especially for those patients that are able to get up, but they are fall risk, those kind of things. They're the ones that are sending your lights going off and you guys are running to these rooms. Those are conversations that you can have with them. Hey, and at night shift, hourly rounding can be every 2 hours if that's the case. Okay. And so you guys can have that communication with them and just say, hey, we're going to be rounding. I know that it gets to a point where everyone is asleep. So we'll come in about every 2 hours, even though you guys are still peeking in on them and making sure they're breathing every hour. But just so that they're able to still get rest for their bodies. But those are conversations that you have with your patient so that they're set up for success with you and making sure that your schedule and all of that meets. Does that make sense? School is about to get out tomorrow. I will be here for night shift and we will run through hourly rounding and everybody will get to experience it. So school is out, so I'm going to be able to have more free time. My kids are just going to be feral and running amok. And so, I just leave them at home and I'll be with you guys. Okay. And we'll go through hourly rounding. It's one of my favorite things that I did on the floor and it made my day so much better. Rover versus WOW. So here recently, I'm very biased about this, but those rovers, giving medication with the rover versus the WOW is very difficult, especially whenever you guys are, a lot of the time too is resulting in documentation errors. Sometimes it doesn't cross over. Being able to fully read an order and these certain instructions whenever giving a medication, I think can be daunting too. When I was on it one time, I was given meds into a peg tube and there was all sorts of information. I was very overwhelmed by it. And I can see how can be errors made by using the rover versus your computer. I know pulling those computers around is a lot, but it's smart to use your WOW instead of that phone whenever you're needing to document and give a bunch of meds at one time, just because there's certain things that are missed, I think, whenever you use the phone. And so, but here recently also, I want to talk about orders in general. We have standard orders like vitals every 4 hours per unit, protocol or whatever it might be. But we get in such a habitual motion whenever we're looking at them and acknowledging them that we're not really reading what the orders are actually saying. So you might have vitals that say routine, but your next patient next door, it might say vital signs. Do not take vitals on any extremities, and you're going to miss that because you didn't read it. Or the physician might change it and be like, vital signs, please report if blood pressure is so and so, heart rate is so and so. Those are things as a nurse that we need to practice really reading through those orders and paying attention to what is being ordered, because they might be different. We had a patient up here this week, vital signs, do not take on any of the extremities, and they were taken on extremities every single shift before they were transferred from ICU. After they were transferred from ICU, ICU wasn't taking any vitals, and the patient comes to us and we start taking vitals, and he has blood clots in all extremities. High risk, lots going on there. So this is one of those rise moments that there's a hole in the Swiss cheese, and we have to just pay attention. We gotta it was caught, we had conversations, we had clarifying moments with our physician, but we really need to pay attention to, just because it just says vitals doesn't mean it's standard. Okay, something very simple like that. And so please make sure that we're reviewing those orders and we're practicing to the best of our ability of what the physician has laid out for us. Okay.
All right, thank you, Crystal. All right, so this meeting's a little bit longer. We do not have a staff meeting next month, so it's a little more than what we normally have. We still have a few people that haven't updated their licenses or certifications for this month. Make sure you do so. We are hiring a full-time RN. If you know anyone, make sure you have them email me or they can apply. This is a full-time. If they put your name as a referral, that is also extra money. I believe $1,500 after 6 months. With Methodist becoming a level 2 trauma, we've been slowly seeing an increased amount of trauma patients within the hospital. So with more units receiving these trauma patients, we're going to be receiving some more upcoming education on how to take care of some of these patients also, since we're seeing such an increase hospital-wide. New role. So we are transitioning away from an NCC to a more expanded role of an assistant nurse manager. And we're posting and currently in the selection phase right now. And that transition will happen in July. Okay. Capital. For this month, we're still doing really well. We bought a new phone, over $700, some new linen carts, a little over $800. If there's anything that you feel needs to be broken, needs to be replaced, let us know so we can do that. Summer is approaching, so the census is going to fluctuate, okay? So I want to revisit some of the pushback / canceled process. If you are pushed back, that means your new start time is 4 hours later. If you are pushed back, you should be receiving a call 2 hours prior to your shift. So it's a PCT, they will notify you by 3:45, as a RN 4:45. If you are canceled, there's some type of communication at least by 9 for PCTs, by 10 for nurses. Now, sometimes charge, as a courtesy, they will call or text you if you are canceled or not. If they do not, because sometimes they do get busy, it is your responsibility to call up here. I know some of you guys may be thinking, oh my gosh, if I call, they know I'm pushed back and now I have to come in. You know, not the case. You know, we already know if we need you or not. So if you don't receive any call or text, call to charge so that they know. Because if you do not receive anything at all, no message that you've been canceled, that means your new start time is 4 hours later, 10 a.m. p.m. for PCTs, 11 for nurses. If you don't show up to work, that is a time and attendance policy violation. So that is the disciplinary action. So we want to just bring that up to your attention again, just in case. So far, we've been doing a really good job with this, but just wanted to bring it up just to be proactive about it. Floating. First to get floated. If you are in overtime, anybody in overtime, your first time floating. I mean, you will get floated. Even if you were just floated yesterday, if you're still in overtime, you will be floated. After that, it is PRN and part-time, those that are working more than their required shifts. After that, they go to a float log. So let's say you are floated. Charge, we'll update that in Simpler. But also there is a binder by the charge nurse workstation that you can fill out and sign it yourself. Okay. So if Greg gets floated or Zadok, Kobe, write it down on that binder so you know that we have a date of when that was. Because let's say that it wasn't updated in Simpler. You know, they just forgot. And then Ashley Hung was the last one to be floated. And she's like, I know, right, Ashley? So she's the last one to get floated. She's like, I just got floated last week. Why am I getting floated again? Well, Simpler doesn't say it. Well, it has it in the binder. So now we know. Just as a foolproof method so that we know that, you know, we are diligent and we're floating the right people. The last thing on that is the wish list. So we are coming to a close to this fiscal year on September 30th. We are doing really well as far as our budget goes. Last year, we did really well. So we were able to ask people what do they want for the unit. We ordered new computer chairs, computer equipment, seizure pads. I don't even know what else we ordered. So we have that coming up too. And we do this because by you taking care of our equipment, not losing it, it helps us so that we have this extra money to order things. It helps us buy people that aren't always in overtime, clocking out on time, taking their lunches. All that plays a factor. So later on, when we have extra money, we ask you guys, what do y'all want? Okay. So if you have anything in mind, send us a list so that way we can start working on that. And then finally, you may have received an email or you may have seen it on the Pulse page, this unpaid time off. So starting this week for full-time and part-time employees only, you'll receive 2 unpaid time off days. That is good from January 1st through December 31st. So these 2 days are good until December 31st of this year. You submit it just like you would a PTO request in Simpler, except under the label, instead of PTO scheduled, you put unpaid time off. So you have to do it in advance, okay? And it must be approved before it's taken. You can't use it to extend FMLA or leave or disability. If you don't use it, you will lose it. You get 2 more the following year. So let's say if Sue or Maria Robinson or Sean, they're like, you know what, I want to use this July 2nd. I don't know. We look, you can use it. You will only get paid for 24 hours that week. Okay. So if you use it, you only get paid for that time that you worked. That's why it's unpaid time off. Okay. You don't have to use it if you don't want to. Anybody have any questions about any of these items over here? I saw a couple faces.
There's a question in the chat.
Kaylee, no, you can't use unpaid time off during the holidays. This is also the same process as regular PTO, meaning for regular PTO, you can't use it on a holiday week. Same here, you can't use this during the holiday week. Any other questions about this slide at all? If not, you can always email us if you have any questions, if you don't want to ask anything out loud. Finally, our patient experience. We have 3 goals. Responsiveness of staff, we increased by almost 4 points. This is great, you guys, right here. 60.1. Explain daily plan of care, where we went down a point, 1.7 points, 66.1. Patient experience, 82nd percentile, went down a few percentile points over here. How does this affect everyone? Because people always think, the goals, and why is this such a big thing? At the end of the year, or in September, when we do our annual evaluations, you guys get a score on this. We have 3 different goals right here. If we meet challenge, you get 3 points, target 2, minimum 1. If you get nothing, we get 0. So what they use is, they will use the scoring of each one, get an average. Oh, my light turned off. They get an average, and then they use your competency score. That means how well you do your job. And then you get a percentage right here. So for example, if we went based on how we did last month, we did not meet anything. That's 0 points, 0 points, 3 points, right? 0, 0, 3. We had an average score of 1. And let's say on your competency, you did fairly well, 2.5. We average it. That's only a 1.75%, not dollar, percent of a possible merit increase. If we go based on how we did now, it's a 2.25. So that's half a percentage point. Makes a big difference. If we were to get challenged and meet every goal here, and you score the same competency, it's a 2.75. That's 1 percentage point. So all those things add up. We are still 4 months away. You guys are doing a really great job. Responsiveness of staff with the 5 Ps, hourly rounding. This is huge right here, jumping up almost 4 percentage points. Okay, that is big. One thing we want to work on is explaining the plan of care. What's going on with the patient? What are we doing for you today? Okay. Patient experience, it's several things all combined into one, and we'll go into that one on the next slide. So higher the numbers here, higher the merit increase. The lower it is. So how are we doing so far? This is a score sheet of how every unit at Mansfield Methodist is doing. This is the patient experience right here. As long as we meet above challenge 77, we're doing good. So within our department, we're the second highest. We're still doing pretty well. Down over here, we look at the percentage point right here. So the responsiveness of staff, 60.1, which is really good. As you can see, here are the things that they score. They ask patients, how are things? How was your stay? How did we do as a hospital, as a unit? Okay. So it breaks it down into these different categories, and it asks you questions about your discharge, a quiet environment. Could I sleep? Was my room clean? Did they explain things that was happening? Did I receive help toileting? Okay. All these things play a factor. And this does affect everyone whenever it's time to do our merit increases. Anybody have any questions about our scorecard or this slide over here? All right, if there's no more further questions, that is all. If anything does pop up, you email me or Crystal about this. There's no UBC because they did the event last month, okay? All right, have a great summer. We'll see you in July.
Bye, y'all.